And the turn goes according to plan. France doesn't move back to Holland, so I take Holland. I retake Denmark because England was covering London with the North Sea, so I retook Denmark, and England actually destroyed the unit in Baltic Sea, which is amazing for me. And I was dislodged from Burgundy, and also I bounced with England in Liverpool. Now, from Burgundy, I could have retreated into Paris because France didn't use Picardy to cover Paris, which is a little bit too trusting, but I guess that this French player is very trusting of their allies once they think that they're loyal. So I decided, you know what, Paris is not worth losing my understanding with France so early. I'm gonna not retreat into Paris, rebuild my army in Munich, and so that France and I can work together. Because after England is dead, I'm not sure I want to go against France. My preference would be to go against France, but maybe I want to go against Russia. So also Italy is getting real strong, so maybe I don't want to bother France so that they can handle Italy, because Italy was at this point the world topper. So I decided in a moment of faith in my new ally that had given me Holland not to take revenge for their attack and not to retreat into Paris, which they appreciated. I also built a fleet in Berlin, which is not intended to take Sweden, even though I could, technically. I like Russia, he saved my bacon, so I don't want to stop them. So I'm gonna move Berlin to Kiel and Kiel to Ruhr. France was asking me to move an army in Ruhr, a French army in Ruhr, so that I could then force them to destroy that army so that they could rebuild it as a fleet, because now they need fleets. But I said that I couldn't because I needed to move Berlin to Kiel, and Kiel so was going to Ruhr. And yeah, I was gonna keep covering Liverpool while England now is on the back foot defending from a very, very late Sea Lion. Russia now gains Norway. I cover Liverpool from England. France fails to convoy to London again. And France also moves to Piedmont. This was actually because Turkey had asked to France to do that. And France did that to appease Turkey, but also because since I couldn't destroy an army from France, they were expecting that that army in Piedmont was gonna get destroyed by the Italian armies, and then they could rebuild it as a fleet in Marseille after it's been destroyed. I'm probably not gonna get anything from this turn. I'm not gonna stab Russia and Sweden, so yeah, but it's fine. I'm happy that now I have finally defeated the EF. I have not defeated France, but England has been mostly crippled, and the EF is no more. So I had a good friend in Russia, and I broke the alliance from the inside. The only thing that I missed was Italian Empire, but other than that, my defense against the EF was, exactly what you should do to counter them. In the next turn, I get support into North Sea. I go to an Eagle Alliance, not even Denmark, so I'm not threatening to Sweden at all. And I see that Russia has gotten pretty strong, building two armies, one of which is in Warsaw, which can be threatening to me if it moves to Silesia. So I'm checking in with Russia, asking if we're still good, and they say yes. I would very much like to have an entire game in which Russia and I cooperate without stabbing each other, because I like Russia. He's been amazing and he saved me in a way. So I don't want to stab them. I'd much rather fighting France. France rebuilds their army as a fleet, and in the next turn, France bounces England for me in Liverpool so that I can take Edinburgh. And I had thought about moving against Russia in a way to Silesia maybe, or to Berlin, just to defend myself. But I decided not to do it, and I just supported my border with France. France would like me to demilitarize the border and go against Russia, but I said I didn't want to spook Russia just yet. Russia moved to Bohemia, but that's not to take Munich, that's to take Vienna. And they're moving to Norwegian Sea, which is a move that Russia does to get Edinburgh, which is somewhat of a problem because now Edinburgh is mine, but I understand it. And actually, I'm saying to Russia, you know what, Russia, why don't we, I know that's unusual, but why don't we attack France together? You can come around the British Isle and we can attack France together. I'd like to do that with you instead of continue working with France. And they say, yeah. I say, you can take Edinburgh from me. It's no problem. They say, no, don't worry. I'm not going to take Edinburgh. I'm just going to move to North Atlantic Ocean. France, in the previous tour, moved to Liverpool with my consent. I knew that this risked losing Liverpool to France, but it was my best shot of getting Edinburgh and retaining Liverpool. So that, and even if France gets Liverpool, I mean, it's okay, I guess. At this point, France is in Tunis and is asking me for support in London with the fleet, and they're probably gonna get Tunis and London this way. They could actually also try to sneak in Liverpool if England lets them do that. So it's a situation in which France could get really powerful really fast, surpass me in centers. I don't want to do that. So even though France, the fact that France turned against England has been good, I don't think I want to support them in London. Actually, I think I want to guarantee a bid for me, because a bid is not guaranteed. I could lose Edinburgh or Liverpool. So at this point, I'm talking with Italy. I'm saying don't move to Marseille, so that France moves Burgundy to Marseille, and you don't bounce them out. And they say I don't want a French army in Marseille. And I said, would you rather a French fleet in Marseille? But actually, I guess they would rather a French fleet in Marseille, because as you can see, they did bounce France again. But knowing that France wasn't going to tap Ruhr, I actually used Holland. I'm planning to use Holland to attack Belgium, supported by Ruhr. And so sub France for Belgium, not supporting France in London so that England can bounce them out, and see what happens. So that then I can evaluate if I want to fight France for real or not, because I don't want them to build too much if I want to fight them. So let's see what happens. So I did just that. I took Belgium. France didn't get London. I retained both Edinburgh and Liverpool. Russia is in North Atlantic Ocean, and France got Tunis. So France got their bid in Marseille, but they didn't get two bids. At this point, it's tough, because at this point, Italy is strong, Russia is strong, France is not that strong. And Italy is attacking France, is in Western Med and Piedmont, and I don't want Italy to win this game. At this point, I've done so much. I've overcome French-English alliance, basically alone with some help from Russia. I don't want Italy to win this. Or Turkey, or even Russia, actually. So if I keep attacking France, it's probable that France will just give their centers like Marseille and Spain and Portugal to Italy. And France is telling me just that. So I say, you know what, I'm sorry. By the way, the sword represents the one dot stab in Belgium against France. So at this point, I'm saying to France that I'm sorry, and I was worried about them getting Tunis and London and getting too many bids, while I couldn't even guarantee one bid for me, so I wanted something. And I'm saying it was just for Belgium. It was just the conquest of Belgium. It wasn't an all-out war against you, but just a single conquest of one sentence. They're saying that now they're gonna lose everything to Italy because of this, but I say no, they're not. Marseille can move to Spain, Burgundy can move to Marseille, English Channel can move to Mid-Atlantic Ocean potentially. So you're fine. And you can also take potentially Roman navals with your fleet there, so they can't actually take Tunis without risking something. So The only reason Italy could get a lot of centers from France is if I keep attacking France. And I tell that to France, and I somewhat, even after I just stopped them to keep taking Belgium and not supporting them into London, I persuade them to stick with France. They would go against Italy, I go against Russia, that's what I'm telling them. And I promise to support them into London now with the army, so that they can bring the fleet south. At the same time, I'm thinking about what to do with Russia. Do I want to go through with this plan of attacking France with Russia, or do I want to stop Russia? Now, emotionally speaking, I don't want to stop Russia. I really like that player. He's my favorite player in this particular match, because of what happened between us. But I mean, because of this reasoning behind the difficulty in actually attacking France, I think that it's not really doable attacking France without having a really strong Italy in the south. And it's actually much easier to attack Russia for me from this position than France. So, and also, they've both been extremely loyal to me, but only France has a really good reason not to attack me at this point, which is Italy. Russia doesn't have that reason, so I don't even want to be the first one to get attacked from Russia. So at this point I decided, you know what, yeah, I should probably move to Denmark and Baltic Sea and attack Sweden. And so I decided to keep my word with France and to stop Russia, even though they're telling me that North Atlantic Ocean is going to Mid Atlantic Ocean. We'll see what happens. So I do just that. France keeps their word. I keep my word supporting wings to London, and that's the last center that England has, so England is gonna get eliminated very soon. And I move Edinburgh to Liverpool, expect, just to be sure. And I get bounced from Russia. Russia and I stabbed each other at the same time. By the way, I also moved Munich to Tyrolia, just to inconvenience a little bit Italy, because I didn't want to fully move against Russia just in case something could happen that could convince me not to attack Russia fully, but just take Sweden. Actually, Russia stabbed me at the same time. They were lying about going against France. They tried to take Liverpool while I'm positioning to take Sweden. So it's a double stab. Russia is stabbing me at the same time as I'm stabbing them, which is actually a relief. I was happy about this, and I told Russia. Russia told me, so it's that time, huh? And I said, yeah, but I'm actually happy that we stabbed each other at the same time, so now I don't feel guilty. Because there are stabs that make you proud of doing that, and there are stabs that make you feel bad about them. And this was a stab that I was feeling bad about it. That's why I didn't move to Russia in Silesia. It was a half-hearted stab, but now that I see that Russia is stabbing me at the same time, it's fine. It's a fair fight. We had the same idea at the same time, and he said the same thing. So, let the best player win, I guess. So this is the start of the German-Russia war after a long time in which we were very friendly to each other. So I take Sweden, I cover Liverpool again, England is eliminated, I also cover Edinburgh just to be sure, moving to Prussia and Silesia. And since I got Sweden, I got one build, which is an army in Kiel to support Munich from the possible attack of the two Russian armies in Tyrolia and Bohemia. At the same time, France is doing what it's doing, going against Italy, gaining Naples, getting an army and a fleet. And at this point, we're in 1907. So this is the end of 1907. 1908 is coming soon, it's the last year of the match. And Warsaw is guaranteed for me, because Russia didn't get a build, and so I can just enter Warsaw unopposed. I can also move Prussia to Livonia, so that I have good chances of taking Moscow. The only way I can be stopped is if Norway moves back to St. Petersburg and an army in the south moves to Galicia and or to Ukraine and then taps Warsaw. So it's pretty likely that Russia won't do that. So I can probably take Warsaw and Moscow. So even though Italy is asking me to make moves against Bohemia or something, so that I can possibly take Vienna, which is probably they're probably asking me that in the hopes that I actually prevent Russia from taking Vienna from them without actually taking Vienna from myself. I'm saying no, I have much higher chances of getting Warsaw and Moscow with my two armies. At the same time, I don't want France to get into Burgundy with that Paris army, because that would put three armies, Burgundy, Tyrol, and Bohemia, Burgundy, and Munich. And if France and Russia team up to take Munich, since I only have one army in Kiev, they can stop me from doing so, from retaining Munich. And this is the last year of the game. A lot of stabs happen because people rush to get more centers than the others. So I don't want to do that. I want to move Belgium to Burgundy, supported by Munich, to avoid any of that. I also tell Russia, don't attack Munich. It's going to be supported. So if you attack Munich, that just helps France out. And you don't want to help France out. Do you think France deserves to be helped? I think France deserves to be helped. I think France played pretty well on things considered. But I'm just saying that to convince Russia not to try for Munich. But I'm also telling him the truth that Munich is going to be supported, so it's no use. But they try it anyway. They try to get Munich. Fortunately, I also bounce France in Burgundy, so Munich is protected. Kiev can support it again, and I'm also in Warsaw and Livonia. That means that I can guarantee Moscow because Warsaw can support Livonia to Moscow, and there's only Ukraine which can defend Moscow, which is not enough. At the same time, I'm moving to Edinburgh and Liverpool, and France is moving to Yorkshire, telling me that they will support Edinburgh. But I actually don't believe them. It's much more probable that France and Russia, in my opinion, are discussing supporting each other in Liverpool, for example, or Edinburgh. Most probably, one of the two, Russia should support Yorkshire to Liverpool while trying to get Edinburgh as well. Or maybe they should say to France that they're supporting them to Liverpool, and then they get Edinburgh from me because Liverpool is cut, something like that. So France is mad because I moved to Burgundy, and they say, "Are you kidding me?" And I said that it was just a defensive move to avoid them getting to Burgundy, but they say now I can't retake Marseille because of that. And I actually didn't see that. Like, I didn't even think about what Italy was going to do to France if I did this. My only care in the world now is to defend Munich, and that's why I did that. But actually they say, okay, it's fine, Russia will let me out, tapping Piedmont so I can retake Marseille. I apologize, and they say it was not a stab. I'm not stabbing you. I'm just because I'm not stabbing. The only center I'm boarding that is French is London, and this is the point. I'm gonna try for London. It's not even because I want to take London, but it's because that forces France to defend London. Basically, the units in Norwegian Sea, North Atlantic Ocean, and Yorkshire have to cooperate to lose me Liverpool or Edinburgh. If I move to London, even if I lose Liverpool or Edinburgh, I get London. And if France defends London, I retain Edinburgh and Liverpool. I'm also gonna try to move Sweden to Norway just in case, but it's not gonna work. At this point, I was telling Russia, why did you move to Munich? I told you I was gonna support it. You should have moved to Saint-Ligia so you could have tried me before Berlin. There was a gap there between Munich and Berlin. And they said, I actually didn't even see that there was an army in Kiev. So let's see what happened in the last turn of the game. In the last turn of the game, I took Moscow, which was guaranteed. I supported Munich, which wasn't attacked. France lost Marseille because Russia didn't move to Piedmont. They actually moved to Venice, taking it. So very interesting Russian position in the end. And they actually got into London. For some reason, even though it was the last turn of the game and then the game was gonna end, France kept their word and supported Edinburgh, helping me until the end and losing a center for it, which is so sad. This is the last tab of the game. Actually, I'm very loyal in any game of diplomacy, but since this game has an endpoint, near 1908 I become pretty stubby because I need to get more centers, and I'm sorry that France saw the worst part of me as an ally, because I would have been a much better ally if they had chosen me as an ally since the beginning. But since they chose me in middle game, after a little bit of being loyal, I stabbed them 2 or 3 times, which I'm sorry for, but what can I do? And yeah, they said the audacity Germany, because I convert Belgium, but not to Norway. So, and the game was drawn in this position. This is the final position of the game. Very interesting position indeed. And even though since 1901 there was a very committed England-France alliance, and I had Russia helping me out, but to the extent that that's possible, which is not exceedingly much, I ended up with more centers than anyone, 12 centers, with second place held by Turkey, which silently and calmly but surely got to 8 centers, and then third place shared by France and Russia, my 2 allies in this game. France was an enemy and then became an ally, which I repeatedly stabbed. Italy with 2 centers in fourth, and then 0 centers for England, and poor Austria, which was eliminated, and also Austria, I think it was their first game, which is pretty rough playing their first game as a blitz game. I wouldn't recommend it, but I recommend playing blitz. That's really fun. And I think Italy wants to make a video about this game as well from their perspective. So shout out to Mind Dodge. Anyway, so this was my recollection on this game, and also my kind of sort of guide how to defeat the F if you're Germany. So don't panic and just do your thing, and you can actually win against them, even if you're more or less alone with someone from Russia. Alright? So yeah, if you got until here and you're still watching, you're amazing, and see you next time.